New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani was heckled outside Gracie Mansion after newly released Epstein-related records drew public attention. The protests followed the release of Justice Department documents that reference Mamdani's mother, filmmaker Mira Nair. Nair is mentioned in a 2009 email referencing a film-related after-party held at the Manhattan townhouse of Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell, a longtime associate of Jeffrey Epstein, is currently serving a 20-year federal prison sentence for sex trafficking. The email lists attendees but makes no allegations of misconduct against those named. Among those listed were prominent figures including former President Bill Clinton, Jeff Bezos, and Mira Nair. Officials have emphasized that inclusion in the records does not imply criminal activity. Additional scrutiny emerged after a photo surfaced showing Mamdani at a 2017 Hollywood luncheon hosted by Peggy Siegel. The event took place at Lincoln Ristorante and celebrated the success of Jordan Peele's Oscar-winning film Get Out. Mamdani appeared alongside actor Daniel Kaluuya, filmmaker Shimit Amin, and his mother at the high-profile gathering. Siegel, once a dominant Hollywood publicist, was later cut off by major studios due to her close social ties to Epstein. However, she was never charged with any crime. Another image from 2016 shows Nair attending a private film event hosted by Siegel for Queen of Katwe. At the time, Siegel was a key power broker in Hollywood's awards circuit. Jeffrey Epstein was first arrested in 2006 and later died in federal custody in 2019 while awaiting trial. The Justice Department released more than 3 million additional pages under the Epstein Files Transparency Act on January 30th. The release includes documents, videos, and images collected from multiple federal and state investigations. Zohran Mamdani was sworn in as mayor on January 1st after defeating Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa.
Can you assure the American public that President Trump, like every other prominent person whose name came up in relation to the Epstein files, that all documents, photos, and anything relevant to him connected to the case are being released?
I mean, yes, I can assure that we complied with the statute, we complied with the act, and there is no, we did not protect President Trump, we didn't protect or not protect anybody. I mean, I think that there's a hunger or a thirst for information that I do not think will be satisfied by the review of these documents. And there's nothing I can do about that. But President Trump, of all the people in Washington, D.C. and around this country that have said for years the same consistent message about Jeffrey Epstein as President Trump. And so there's not been a change of course or anything, and certainly his direction to the American people and the his direction to the Department of Justice was to be as transparent, release the files, be as transparent as we can. And that's exactly what we did. Today we are producing more than 3 million pages, including more than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images. In total, that means that the department produced approximately 3.5 million pages in compliance with the act. Just a quick note about the videos and images. The 2,000 videos and 180,000 images are not all videos and images taken by Mr. Epstein or someone around him. They include large quantities of commercial pornography and images that were seized from Epstein's devices, but which he did not take or that someone around him did not take. Some of the videos, though, and some of the images do appear to be taken by Mr. Epstein or by others around him. Now, I want to talk for a few minutes about the department's document identification and review protocols. It consisted of multiple layers of review and quality control designed to ensure compliance under the act and protect victims. On top of the review protocols that the department had in place, the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York employed an additional review protocol to ensure compliance with a court order requiring United States Attorney Jay Clayton to certify that with respect to certain materials, a large quantity of the materials, a rigorous process was undertaken to protect victims against any clearly unwarranted invasion of their personal privacy. The department's collection effort resulted in more than 6 million pages being identified as potentially responsive, including department and FBI emails, interview summaries, images, videos, and various other materials collected and generated during the various investigations and prosecutions that the Act covered. We erred on the side of over-collection of materials from various sources to best ensure maximum transparency and compliance, which necessarily means that the number of responsive pages is significantly smaller than the total number of pages initially collected. That's why I mentioned a moment ago, we're releasing more than 3 million pages today and not the 6 million pages that we collected. I want to address what we didn't produce. The categories of documents withheld include those permitted under the Act to be withheld: files that contain personally identifiable information of victims or victims' personal and medical files, and similar files, the disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. Any depiction of CSAM or child pornography was obviously excluded. Anything that would jeopardize an active federal investigation. And finally, anything that depicts or contain images of death, physical abuse, or injury, also not produced. Although the Act allows for withholding for items necessary to keep secret in the interest of national security or foreign policy, no files are being withheld or redacted on that basis. Further, as we previously stated in our December 19th letter of last year, the department withheld or redacted files covered by various privileges, as we always do, including deliberative process privilege, work product privilege, and attorney-client privilege. We didn't protect or not protect anybody. I mean, I think that there's a hunger or a thirst for information that I do not think will be satisfied by the review of these documents. And there's nothing I can do about that. But President Trump, of all the people in Washington, D.C. and around this country that have said for years the same consistent message about Jeffrey Epstein is President Trump. And so there's not been a change of course or anything, and certainly his direction to the American people and the his direction to the Department of Justice was to be as transparent, release the files, be as transparent as we can, and that's exactly what we did.